And then I'll start. Hmm. Hello everyone, thanks for joining. So in the previous session we talked about recording on session. I'm sorry. Yep. Hello everyone. So in the previous session we talked about how to build a 2D platformer game, and we learned about a new nodes such as texture rect and tile map. We learned how to add tiles and all, and we also learned how to add collisions for the player and collisions for the tile. So in this session what we're gonna do, let me write. So in this session we're gonna learn how to animate our sprite. I mean our main character. We'll learn how to add it, and we'll tweak the code, and I'll try to explain the code. I mean we just used the template in the previous session, so I'll explain the code line by line, tweak the code, and we'll also add custom inputs. I mean like if we click A it should move to the left side, and if we click D it should move to the right side. So custom inputs, it's also called as input mapping. Yep. Prep has left. So yep, that's what we're gonna learn. So can you guys see the screen? I guess you can. So this is where we left in our previous session. We added the collision for the player, and we also added the collision for the tiles. Bro, I'll explain tiles mapping later on, but let's continue with this. So let's move this player to the ground. So what is happening here is that the player, I mean this sprite and the collision are moving separately. We have to join it first. It will be useful later on. So let's undo it. And you know how to create a scene, right? You guys know how to create a scene, so let's learn how to create a subscene. So these are all scenes, as you know, main scene, and this part is this player over here. So we have to create a subscene. Basically group all this into one, so we can drag and drop all at once. So we have to click on this node, which is our player character node, and right click on it, and you have to yep, save branch as a scene. You are basically creating a subscene over here. So click on this player node and click on this save branch as a scene, so it creates a new scene, new subscene. You can rename it as you like, but I'll leave it as it is, player node or the player scene. Save it. So now you can see that we can drag our player with all the properties, like with the collision and all. And if you want to open it, you can just whenever you create a new scene, it gets saved over here in our file system. So this is the scene we just created, player.tscn. So just click on it, so your our player opens. So if you make any changes, let's say you change the shape of the collision from the capsule to a circle, and we'll resize it, and let's see what happens in our main scene. We have to save it, I guess. See what happened. So the changes replicated here as well. So that's the thing. We can undo it. Yep, we will undo it. So we created a subscene. You guys learned how to create a subscene. Creating subscene will be useful later on. So I'll place the player over here. We'll save it and we'll try to play it once. Why is it lagging? Yep. Yeah, so it looks lifeless right now without all the animations. We'll add it. But you guys learn how to create a subscene. So now let me close it. And now I'll teach you guys how to animate the sprite. How many people are there? 6 people, fine. Let's switch to 2D workspace. Yep. So our sprite here, this node is just a sprite 2D, so it just displays a basic image which is a sprite, so we cannot animate it. So we have to change the type of our node to our animated sprite 2D, so we can basically animate our sprite. So right click on it, click on the change type, and you can change the type of your node, and I'll change it to animated sprite 2D, so I can animate our sprite. And done. So basically our sprite disappeared because we did not add anything. So we have to create a new sprite. We have to animate it. So click on this empty and create a new sprite frames. Click on it. So go to this animation tab over here. So you have to create the animations in this tab. So I'll try to show you guys. So in this tab is called animation player. In this tab we'll create animations. We'll animate our sprites. So I told you guys, I'm using pre-made assets, and I also shared you the links. So let me use them. I use this virtual guy. So I will drag and drop for sure. Default. Why the drag is not working? Rare. Yep. In this we have to create our animations. You make sure that you click this node animate a sprite 2D and it will show up. So there is this animation called default that we just created by clicking add new sprite. So we'll just drag and drop, or you can click on this. You can click on this to add sprites. From a sprite sheet. You guys have to create the sprite sheet after I teach you guys how to do pixel art, and this is used for import sprite from a file. So basically we'll click on this, jump, fall, jumping, running, default. Default, jump, idle. So yep, we're gonna click on this, add frames from the sprite sheet, and we have to import this assets first in the file system so I can see it. Main characters, virtual guy. So yep, we're gonna use this idle animation sprite. Double click on it. So yep, this is a sprite sheet. So we can see here that the sprites are not divided frame by frame. I mean, it's not divided like this, it's divided unevenly. We can fix that. We can fix that by changing the size of it. Let's say 32. I mean, I know because I used it previously. So the size, if we change it to 32, you can see that the horizontal lines are separating the sprites perfectly, but the vertical lines we have to change it as well. Let's change it to 1. Yep, now it looks fine, right? So what we did is we played around with these values, this size and the vertical and the horizontal. You can adjust as per your liking, but after adjusting it, all the sprites are divided evenly. So what we have to do now is we have to select a starting frame and our ending frame. We can just click on it and drag. Let's click enter over here, and we have to keep dragging, or you can select one by one. My mouse drag is not working because of this software. So yep, you have to select it one by one. You got it right. You have to select your first frame, second frame, and all, and click on add. So this sprite, this idle sprite contains of, oh, I clicked on escape, but it's fine, I'll show you guys again. Click on this to add the frames from the sprite sheet. Select on idle, and yep, the settings were saved already. The sprites were sliced properly, so we have to select it as I told you, and click on add 11 frames. So yep, now the animations are added. We just have to play it. Yep, so click on this button. Let's see. So now you can see our animation is playing, but the animation is too low because our FPS over here is too low. So we have to change our FPS over here so our animation looks more smoother. Smooth. So let's increase the number to 20. As you can see, our animation looks much better now as we increase the frame rate of it. Till now, any questions? All good. Just react or text. Are you guys actually listening? Great. Nice. So yeah, we increase the frame rate so our animation looks much smooth, and we have to create more animations. Like while running we have to create an animation, while jumping we have to create an animation. So let's do it. We have to click on here to add a new animation file. Let me show you guys. we have to click on here to add new animation. So let's add new animation. Let's rename it as jumping. Let's add another running. I told you in my first session, platformer game consists of basic animations such as jumping, running and idle animations. So yep, we added it. And yep, as it is what we did for our default, we'll do the same. But for this jumping we don't have a sprite sheet. There's just a single image, a single sprite for jumping. So let's add it. We'll use this add frame from the file, main characters, virtual guy and jump. We'll click this. So yeah, our jump only consists of one sprite, it's fine. For the running we have to do the same for the default because it has a sprite sheet. So we have to click on it, add frames from the sprite sheet. People are leaving, it's fine. So we have to select the running, click on it. So yeah, we have to do the same. We have to decrease the slicing size. So now this looks even. Each sprite is sliced properly, and we have to select the frames one by one and click on add frames. So now the running animation is done. Click on it to play it. As our FPS is too low, the animation does not look smooth, so let's increase it. You can use this as well, the up button and the down button to increase it. Let me increase it to 20. So as you can see, the animation looks much smooth now. So we want our default animation, which is this idle animation, to be played on the very start of the game. So you can play any animation during the start of your game. So we'll add this idle animation on the start of a game. So click on the animation and click on this button. What this button does is it plays the animation on load. Animation on start. When the game is started, this animation gets played. If you click that button, it plays selected animation on start. So yep, I'm gonna do that. Click on the default animation and I'll click on this autoplay on load. So this will start playing. So let's play our game. 4 people, nice. So see, now our idle animation starts playing. The gameplay looks much smoother. What's the time now? We still got 30 minutes more. So now our idle animation plays on the very start. We'll start adding few more animations which we created now. So let's go to the scripting workspace. In the previous session we added a scripting template, right? I didn't explain much about this template because I'm gonna explain it now. But still, in this scripting workspace we have to add our animations and everything. But first I'm gonna explain the code line by line for you guys. I have it written, but still. Yep, this line of code, this two lines of code. So this basically defines the speed of our player, and it's obvious, but still, this defines a jump velocity. Jump velocity is like when you click a certain button like a space bar, the player jumps, right? So that velocity you can adjust, that jump velocity you can adjust. And this part, the delta part, so what this delta part does is, so each people might have different types of pieces, right? I mean, one person have a good PC and one person have a low end PC or a high end PC. So according to them the game works different. So to make the game, I mean to make the movement work similar in all kind of missions, this delta is used. So if you want the definition for this delta, it's basically like the time gap or time difference between the previous physics frame and the upcoming physics frame. So you can just remember it as like, it makes the movement similar in low end pieces and high end pieces. So that what it does. Let me erase it. So this line of code is done. So what these two lines of code is done. So if not is on floor, so let's say the player is not on the floor, I mean he jumped, the player is not on the floor, he is in the air. So when that happens, so this logic get applies. It's obvious, I mean if you read it you get it, but still, so what happens is that the player velocity, for the player velocity the gravity gets added. So what happens if the player goes up, and if the player is not on the floor, the gravity gets added, so the player falls down. That's what happens. If he jumps, he'll come down again because of the gravity. Let me erase it. So it's gravity. So what this line of code does, so it's just an input action. So we have to add our input mapping here, like we have to add our own buttons over here, but just for the template it just accept whatever we click. For now it accepts spacebar. So when this is the input, so if we click the spacebar, the jump velocity is added. So for the player velocity, the jump velocity which we gave here is added. So the player jumps, he goes up. Got it. Is it boring? I guess it is, but most of the guys shows this gameplay programming, so this is how it will be. Let me see how many people are there. 1 2 3 4 5. Nice. So this line of code does the same. Let me remove it. So I told you what. So I told you what this lines of code does. It adds the jump velocity to the velocity. Velocity for the jump. And this part take care of the direction movement to the right, to the left. So I told you what this input dot get access, this one does. This one takes the input. So for now we did not add any inputs on our own, so it just use our left arrow, right arrow for now. So this part of the code basically takes care of the direction of our player. Mm. Mm. So I'll show you guys. Visibility process. Where is this offset? Yep. So if you go to this offset, click on the sprite 2D, and if you go to this offset, you can see the flip hedge. So it's just basically flip horizontally. So if you click on this, our player moves on the left side. If you uncheck it, the player looks on the right side. So we have to use this because when we play this, no matter in which direction we move, the player faces only in the same direction, which is right. So we have to fix it in our script. We have to fix it in our GD script. So let's do that. Now comes the coding part. I wrote it down. I mean, I can't by heart it, but still. Yep. If velocity dot x is less than 0, damn code lo error undi appudu chudam. If velocity dot x is greater than 0, I'll explain you the code, but let me type now. Are you guys typing anything or texting anything in the chat? No. So what's wrong? Yep. We did not, first, in order to use our, what do we say? Yep. In order to use the sprite 2D, I mean, we are, moving, we are adding this property to flip horizontally for the sprite 2D, right? So we have to add reference for it. So how to add reference for it? Just drag the sprite 2D, and while right click on it, no, left click on it and drag it, and while leaving your left click on control, so the reference get added over here. What did I do wrong? The underscore. Yeah, so let's try it once. Invalid access to a property key flip. నేను ట్రై చేసినప్పుడు నాకు ఎర్రర్ రాలే. Invalid access to a property or a key flip if velocity dot x goes to 0. Yep, I have to use underscore over here as well. I'm so dumb. So now you can see the right. So when I'm moving this side, our player is flipping to on that side. Hope you guys can see. So yeah, we basically added this flip, and we will add more. We will add animations for it, but let me explain it first. So what it does is, I told you guys about it. So in this, if the x-axis or the values of the x increases, the player goes to the right. Player goes right. If the x-axis get increases, the player goes to the right. So what it does is, if the x-axis, if the velocity of x, the value of the velocity dot x is less than 0, obviously the player goes to the to the left side. The flip, this performs the flip. We can flip it manually, but in the code we can flip. So what it does is, if the velocity of the x value is less than 0, it flips, or else it does not flip. So that's what this code does. It just flips the character based on the velocity. Okay, 4 people. Nice. I am recording this. Everyone should see later on. But yeah. Andar manavalla eppudu. But I'm still recording it. Let's be professional. Yep. Time ఎంత అయింది? We got 15. We got 15 more minutes. Godot. So yep, we added this flip function. Flip. So it flips according to the player. If the player moves on the left side, it flips to the left side, and if the player moves to the right side, it flips to the right side. So let's add animations for our game. So we actually created animations in this animation counter. In this we created our default animation, jumping animation, and running animation. So we have to add it according to our need in the code. So just move to this scripting workspace and make sure, I already told you how to flip it according to the direction the character moves, but we also are gonna learn how to add our animations which we created earlier on. So in this, let's add over here. So if the player is not on floor, let's add the jumping animation. So yep, so sprite underscore 2d dot animation is used in the script to play. So don't worry about it. If you start using it, you will get comfortable with it, so it's fine. You don't have to remember it or by heart it. So sprite underscore 2d dot animation is used, to display the animation when the player is not on floor. So let's assume the player, he jumps. So when the player is not on floor, the jumping animation should be played. So jumping animation is the one which we created here. So in the double quotes, make sure we have to match the name. So here we use the jumping. So let's try and see what happens. Let's play it. So yeah, the jumping animation is played. So let's go on top of it and add the animations. If the player is moving, it plays the running animation, or it plays the default running default idle animation. So let's do that. Let's add that code as well, and I'll explain you guys. So what this code does, so what this code do, so this code checks that the player velocity is velocity dot x is greater than 0 or less than -1. So what it does is, if the player value is something, let's assume the player velocity equals to 5, then it plays the running animation. Plays running animation which we created earlier on, and let's assume that the player dot x velocity value equals to 0, then it plays default, which is the idle animation we created earlier on. So hope you got it. So this is what this code does. It checks the player velocity, and if the player velocity is greater than 0, it plays the running animation, and if the player velocity is less than 0, if the player velocity is near to 0, then it plays the default animation, which is an idle animation. So yep, and I told you have to match this names. Wait a second. Yep, so you have to match this animation's name with this respective files you created, and if you don't match it, it gives you errors. So I told you how to create the animations, and I told you how to add these animations to the code in the script. So you guys also learned how to create animations and how to add animations in our code at the particular time whenever we need. So yeah, so what changes did we made for this code? We added this sprite 2D reference in this code, so we can make changes to the sprite 2D, and we added this code. I told you what this code does. And we added this line of code as well. So if the player is not on floor, if the player is in the air, it should play the jumping animation. So we added this line of code as well. Excuse me. And we added this line of code as well. So what this line of code does, so according to the velocity of the player, if the player moves right, the player flips to right. The player horizontally flips according to the movement of the player. So that's what it does. So this sprite dot 2d dot flip underscore h, it flips the sprite 2d horizontally. So that's what it does. So yep, this line of code basically flips the sprite 2d node. So that's what it does. Hmm. Now I'll just teach you guys how to add the input and I'll end the session. So how can we add our own inputs? It's simple, just click on this project. I'll just write it over here. How to add our own inputs. So click on our project settings, click on the project settings, and in this project settings click on this input map. So click on it. Here you can create your own inputs. So you can create whatever inputs you want to add in your game. Let's say let's add jump input. Let's type jump over here and click enter or return. Not here, it's a search, you have to click here. So over here add a new action, let's say jump, click enter. So a new key is created. We have to assign our key to this, but let's add more for now. Jump and running. Left side, right side. Done. These three are enough for us now. And click on this plus button to add the key. To map the key for this jump, click on this plus button. And now you can just click on your keyboard. So I clicked backspace, so backspace appeared, or for the jump I want to use this space bar, so I will click the space bar. So the space bar gets assigned, just click on OK. And I also want to add this gamepad input. For the jump I want to use this stick up, so click on this plus button and click on the joystick up. It's not taking it, but you can assign normally, like keypad, joypad buttons. So we can add it. Left stick up. Okay. So the left stick. Let's try it. Left stick. So the left stick left. So the left stick left. Click on it. Okay. And I'll quickly add inputs for it. For the left side I will use this A button. Click on OK. And I will add more. Left stick left. For this I have to add left stick up to jump. So let me left stick up. So I'm gonna assign the right side quickly. I'll use this D for the right side. Click on OK. And left stick right. So we have successfully mapped our input for the jump, left side and right side. I told you how to do it. Just click on the project settings, and you have to come to the input map, create your own action, and then map your favorite button for that action. So let's change it in the code. Let's go to scripting workspace. In this, in the UI accept, for the jump, we can change our name. So make sure that the same names are used: jump, left side and right side. Right side. Left side and the right side. Let's see if our gamepad works or not. What's the time? Okay, we got a time. We got a lot of time. It's not connected, I guess. Yep, it's working. So if I move up, the player is basically jumping. If I rotate off for the left side, the player is moving for the left side. Oh my god, let's try to play it again. So I successfully mapped it. Now I can play it. The keyboard works as well, the WSAD and the space bar. So how many people are still there? Yep. So that's it, guys. In this session you learned how to create a subscene. I taught you how to create a subscene, and I taught you how to, create your own animations, create animation files. And I explained you what each line of code does, and I didn't left you hanging. So I taught you what each line of the code does. So you just have to understand and play around with the values. You don't have to buy heart or anything, you just have to understand. I explained you what each line of the code does. So we learned what each line does, and we learned how to implement. We learned how to implement that animations. Implement animations in the code. Animations in code. And we also learned how to do the input mapping. So let's test the game one last time, and I also told you how to do the input mapping. So yep, so if I move up, the stick up, the player is jumping, and according to my movement the player is moving. So I can just basically play it, and we can add any inputs we like on the keyboard, mouse and joystick. So hope you guys got it. So this is all about our 2D platformer session, guys. I taught you from the very beginning how to deal with tiles and how to add collisions to our player and the ground, and I told you how to add tiles in on the scene, make it look better, and I taught you guys the tools on what to paint and how to erase, etc. And we add collision to the player and the ground, and we explored a lot of new nodes. In the previous, in the first session of ours, in the UI session, we only learned few nodes, and for this session we explored a lot of nodes while building a game. And yeah, basically this is a platformer game. It gives a basic idea. And in this session, which is our second session on this platformer series, we learned how to add animations and made the game look much smoother. So that's what we did. So hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you guys.